The parable suggests that the saints would initially keep the commandments of the Lord concerning the building up of Zion. But over time, they, like their counterparts in the parable, would become selfish, slothful, and disobedient. This would eventually lead to the attack by the enemy. The Lord first openly called out the saints as early as September 1831 in a revelation to Joseph Smith. This was more of a warning shot as he forgave them immediately. 2 months later, in November, he was more serious and chided his saints for their greed and idleness. Almost a year later, in September of 1832, things had deteriorated to the point that the Lord placed the entire church under condemnation. The Lord offered a carrot and a stick. He said he would remove the condemnation if the saints remembered the Book of Mormon and actually obeyed his former commandments. Otherwise, the children of Zion faced a scourge and judgment. Their behavior would not be tolerated any further. Unfortunately, like the slothful servants of the parable, the saints continued their disobedience. The consequences were predictable. Mob violence broke out in July of 1833. On the 20th of July, a mob consisting of 300 to 500 men destroyed the printing house. That same day, the mob tarred and feathered Edward Partridge. Later, Charles Allen was tarred and feathered. This was the beginning of the scourge and judgment promised by the Lord. On the 23rd of July, 1833, the mob reassembled. At this point, the elders of the church surrendered. They entered into a memorandum of agreement where the violence would cease, but church members were required to leave the area by the 1st of January and the 1st of April. The saints were also forbidden to publish the star. As the servants of the Lord of the vineyard had scattered when the enemy came, so the saints of Joseph's time had left their homes and lands when the mobs came.